I'm talking about evangelism and effective evangelism. We're in Colossians, the 4th chapter, verses 2 through 6. You can turn there if you want in advance. But I can talk till I'm blue in the face. If you want to do something that's evangelistic, come watch Planes, Fire, and Rescue. Or more importantly, come at 7:30 and watch Mary Poppins and sing along. What, you don't sing to Mary Poppins? I'm shocked. Okay, well, come and watch the pastor sing to Mary Poppins, which is a spoonful of sugar. If I dance, we're in trouble. Okay, why are we doing this? Because nobody knows what to do on a Sunday evening. No, we do it because it's an opportunity for people in the neighborhood who are fed up to hear with their kids to bring them and themselves into this place. And it opens the doors and allows people to see us in a different way, hopefully. On the other hand, if none of us are here, it makes it really awkward, especially for Joanne, because she's made 5,000 boxes of popcorn or something. So as you have time, as you have inclination, ponder coming. More importantly, ponder tapping children, parents, others on their shoulder. And I will pray that it rains tonight so you'll want to be here. No, I won't do that. That would be a surefire way of making sure it was sunny, right? Never ask the pastor to pray for the weather. If you want that done, you call Ann Sperling in Dalmany and she'll arrange that for you. So, okay, onward. Last week we were looking at effective evangelism. We said that there were 7 elements of it. We only did 2 of them, but all of them are, I think, here they are again, connection, intercession, consecration, communication, opportunism, graciousness in content. And we will not finish this morning. We'll carry it on one more week. But the fact of the matter is that Paul has been talking about what it means to be a Christian, how it means we are to live our lives, how we take off the old, we put on the new, how we are to love one another and support one another. Not just playing church, but actually taking it seriously and recognizing this is our family. And he spent a lot of time there, but now as he's coming towards the end, he takes us and he says, what's the mission of the church? And he would be able to sum it up in 5 words. They would simply be, we are here for them. That means that we're here for the world. We're here for our neighborhood. We're here for our neighbors, for the people we work with and beside and for. We're here for our families. We're here for service and ministry. It means that what we do and how we do it has to be focused not on ourselves and our likes, not on our personal opinion, not on our dislike. We need to do what we do and how we do it focused on them, on those in our community and world that we hope and pray will come to love Jesus. Our focus needs to be, what can we do to reach them more effectively? To meet their needs and not our own. And we may not like that and probably won't. I'm not sure I do either. But we have to be faithful to it. That's what God has called us together as a church to do. He's called us to be the body of Christ, to love one another, to lay down our lives. But he's called us to do that in order to reach them. Now, it's interesting to me that despite the fact that it's Paul now talking about the outward focus, the first 3 of these 7 elements are here. The first one we said last week was connection. We need a relationship with Jesus before we can start talking about a relationship with Jesus. If we're going to be effective in our evangelism, in our sharing, in our loving, he has to be the source of our joy, our burden, and he's what will make it effective. Jesus said, apart from me, you can do nothing. And that's one of the reasons that we do nothing. We're apart from him. Number 2, the other side of that same coin is intercession. We said that talking to the one we love about the ones we love is essential to effective evangelism. That's because, again, as Jesus said, no one can come to the Father unless the Father who sent me draws him. Number 3, still about us. Consecration. Did anybody wonder what the heck that last part of the verse was doing there in the call to worship? Love one another. Yes, that one we grab, and that's good. That's good. And Michael wanted, that's where he was focusing. But I wanted the last bit. 3 times you'll deny me. 3 times, Peter. No, I'll die for you. No, 3 times you're going to deny me. And what's consecration? Consecration is this act of dedicating our lives to Jesus. Absolute commitment to him. It moves us to sacrifice what we want for the sake of others and to be willing to pay the price to share Jesus. Colossians chapter 4, verse 3. Paul says, pray for us too, that God will give us many opportunities to speak about his mysterious plan. That's why I'm here in chains. Here in chains. Now, grace, God's riches at Christ's expense, grace is free, but it is not cheap. The sharing of the good news comes at a price. Remember that whatever we do, whoever we are, our lives belong to him. It's about commitment. You know the story about the chicken and the pig walking along, and they see the sign for the men's breakfast, and the chicken says, let's go. Pig says, sure, for you it's a donation, for me it's total commitment. That's consecration. Thank you. I'm glad somebody was listening. Perhaps the visual helps. Those of you who are more classical in your illustration will know that William Booth was the founder of the Salvation Army. Booth, on his 80th birthday, was asked what the secret of the success of the Salvation Army was. What was the secret of his personal success? And Booth hesitated for a moment and thought, and then the tears came to his eyes and started to come down his cheeks. And he said, I'll tell you the secret. God has had all of me that there was. There have been men with greater brains than I, men with greater opportunities, but from the day I got the poor of London on my heart and a vision of what Jesus Christ could do with the poor of London, I made up my mind that God would have all of William Booth that there was. And if there is anything of power in the Salvation Army today, it is because God has had all the adoration of my heart, all the power of my will, and all the influence of my life. That's consecration. All that we have, all that we are, giving it up for Jesus to use. People, the good news has never been proclaimed to anybody without it costing someone something. The good news has never been proclaimed except that it has cost someone something. Paul's in chains. He's eventually going to be beheaded. Peter, going to die upside down on a cross. The rest of the disciples, with the exception of John, meet rather grisly deaths. Throughout church history, people have paid with their lives so that others could hear the truth of the good news of Jesus. It's always free for the listener, for the one that's hearing. That's grace. You don't have to do anything to receive it. But it costs the rest of us. We believe in the good news of grace here. But I want you to know that it will cost us. It'll cost us more than popcorn underneath the pews. It will cost us time. It will cost us money. It will cost us our comfort. It may cost us the lives of our children as we offer them unto the Lord and allow them to go risky places to talk about Jesus. It may cost us our lives. We prayed for Make Way Partners in southern Sudan. It's costing to do that and be there. We get excited when Cassandra comes and shares about justice rising in the Congo. That's what consecration looks like. But you will be glad to know that consecration can also look like you getting up tomorrow morning, going to work, and simply loving God and loving people. Taking time serving those around you, wherever you are. Consecration is taking my life and giving it to Him for service. I can do that working on my PhD. I can do that at the barn. I'm looking for specific people, right? I can do that engineering. I can do that working a soundboard. I can do that teaching English. Consecration, I can even do it as an accountant. I know that's surprising for the rest of us, but right? We can give our lives to Jesus and say, take this. You don't have to send me to the deepest, darkest jungles of Africa. Sometimes your workplace feels like a jungle, right? Retirement certainly does. That wasn't funny. Last week we heard Jesus proclaim in Matthew 28 that, you're to go into all the world and proclaim. Mark 16:15, same thing. Go into all the world and preach the gospel. Literally, the Greek says, as you are going into the world. There isn't any sense of, well, now some of you are going to receive a special call from God. You just sit there and wait. We'll have a moment of silence, and God will call some of you to be missionaries. That's not what this is. It's not a case of needing a special call or a mandate to go. The assumption that Jesus makes is that if you are His people, you will already be going. You will be on the way as you are going. Whether that is to deepest, darkest Africa, and we need people to do that. Or whether it's going into a business meeting, walking on a golf course, chatting with your neighbors at the lake, wherever you are as you go, proclaim, preach. Consecration is giving Jesus all the parts of our lives right now just as they are. Preaching the gospel, it's just being fully His and sharing what He's doing, of listening, of asking Him to open doors, and then being bold to walk through. It's having found bread as a beggar, telling other people where they can find bread. Last week I talked about 3 people. Who are the 3 people that you are praying for, that they'll come to love Jesus, that they'll hear about Him in a way that makes sense, and that they'll go, now I get it. It's not about religion. It's about a relationship with this man who's still alive. This God who came and loved us. Those 3, it will cost you in some way to reach them. How much do you really want them to come home? Are you willing to serve them? Are you willing to change and listen and grow and love and forgive and persevere? Are you willing to pay the price so that they can come to love Him? There's a cost. It's a price. And we're called to set aside our lives and pay it. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in your life and through your life. Connection, intercession, consecration. Those are the first 3 elements of effective evangelism. They all have to do with your heart and your relationship. Evangelism starts here, not here. 4th element of effective evangelism is communication. Colossians 4, 5, and 6. Live wisely among those who are not believers and make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be gracious and attractive so you'll have the right response for everyone. The church is unique. We're different from other institutions in many ways, but we can be very much like any other group or organization. Teachers have teacher speak. At least we have academic language. Doctors? Oh my goodness, doctor speech? I don't know what, and you go to your doctor and you say, I feel sick, and they say, yes, you are, and blah, 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 blah. And you go, thank you. Arborists, people who work with trees. I spent a fair bit of Friday morning looking at my Mancana ash, which has anthracnose and Catani ciliad, or psyllid, or something like that. And let me tell you, I know more about the vascular systems of trees than I ever knew before. And now I just have to cut it down and kill it. But, I'm glad doctors don't do that when they look at me. Maybe they do. Okay? We all have what we call jargon. Accountants use language. Pastors, I throw out my 50-cent phrase, the soteriological implications, the eschaton, you'll go, right? Why do we use words like that? Because they give clarity to big concepts and allow us to say things in one word or a couple of words that would take paragraphs to expand. But because you and I both speak that same language, we know. And the church is like any other organization in that. We have our own unique language. Jargon, words, also have the impact of putting up a barrier between people who understand it and those who don't. So a guy named Luke Colley, he's a British InterVarsity Press writer, writes about how to have a spiritual conversation. The link is in your bulletin. And I have that there for a reason, too, because you're going to want to go and play a game later. But he asks readers to think about the word conversion. It's filled with meaning for us from all the Bible studies, the books and talks that we've absorbed. If we've never encountered the word, though, within the Christian context, and I said conversion to you, without that, what image comes to your mind? No, really, think about it. I know, it's hard. Conversion. Where else would you know that word from? Where does somebody's mind go when you say that to them and they aren't from the church? I usually hear it used to describe a building project that makes the attic habitable, a loft conversion. It can be used as a term for comparing the relative value of money from different countries, currency conversion, or as a way of changing the format of a document on a computer. File conversion is underway. I'd also like to add that it might be a way that the Rough Riders could consider scoring a few more points and winning a football game. Colley says, sometimes I hear it described in relation to religion. But with a few possible exceptions, religious conversion in our culture is not viewed warmly or even perceived as an inviting prospect for most people. In fact, it has an overtone of manipulation. That man is trying to convert me. Or of desperation, as in, I think it was a deathbed conversion. Conversion, then, is not a straightforward word for most people that aren't Christians. But if the church exists for the world, then we have to learn how to reach them and talk to them, how to communicate them in ways that are meaningful and understandable to them. Yet we go out and talk to people about salvation, about getting saved, about inviting Jesus into our hearts or consecrating our lives. And well, frankly, many of the people we talk to don't understand what we're saying, and it is just Christianese. How many non-Christians know what justification is? How many can explain sanctification? How many actually understand the born-again stuff? Really? They don't know the words of the concept behind the words, and they just don't communicate effectively to people who've grown outside the church. We have to learn how to talk like the world again. I don't mean heavily filled with profanity, but I mean we need to learn to talk like the world so we can communicate in their language instead of in Christianese. So here's a link, and it's in your bulletin, to Luke's article. And at the bottom of this, he talks about a game. And there's a link to a bunch of words, and it's called Christianese Taboo. And it will give you a whole bunch of Christian terms, and the challenge is with friends to actually work out ways to put those words into real life. So, come tonight. If I'm not watching Mary Poppins, we can play Christian Taboo. You want to do one together? We were just talking about consecration. What's another way to say that in non-Christian language? How would you talk about consecration in real world? Dedication. Okay, we know about that. Another way? Set apart. Okay. I've set apart my car to be used only for special reasons. Okay. I've consecrated my car. Another? Commitment. Okay. Now, do you hear why we say consecration? Because dedication, set apart, commitment, all are there, but for us, consecration goes deeper, right? So it's all those words and. That's why we do jargon. Okay, that was kind of, what about non-Christian? I've been throwing that one around a lot. And I need help because I asked my wife, what's another word for it? And she said pagan. And I think that's a pejorative term, and I use that too. But not with a sense of, it's like dogs bark because they're dogs. People do stupid things because they're stupid. When they don't know Jesus, right? Christians do stupid things because we are them. Okay. What's another way to say non-believer? Non-believer? Close? Lost. That's not going to win you a lot of friends. But it's one of the ones we do. It's logical. It fits. But what's another way of saying it? Like, I've said pre-Christian on occasion. I'm hopeful. You look like a pre-Christian. Secular person. Okay? That's harder, right? But if I said you were a non-atheist, what does that mean? I'm not sure. A pre-atheist? Like you're coming to an atheist meeting? You're pre-atheist? It's hard. And I think I would actually encourage you to spend some time thinking about the way we talk and some of the things we throw out. Because if I'm trying to reach my lost neighbor, they have to know they're lost first. And most of them, that's a concept that is actually a old television series for most people, not actually a condition of soul. We have a tendency to speak Christianese, and it's fine among us, but we have to learn the language of our world to translate our jargon into words that communicate. And communication isn't just about the words we use, it's about how we do that. And we'll come to that in next week, actually, not in a couple of moments. So try this out, have some fun, learn a little bit about how hard it is sometimes to step beyond where we are, and ask some of your non-Christian friends. Hey, listen, in my church we were talking about non-Christians, and you don't know Jesus, what's a good way to talk about that? My pastor's kind of dumb. He didn't know what to say. Can you help me? That's always a great door opener. I'm probably going to use it with my neighbor tomorrow. We have a friend, Sylvia and I, Tremendous singing voice. She's played major musical roles in Stratford Festival in Ontario, other high-profile events, teaches at Wilfrid Laurier University. One of the things we love about her, though, is her ability to cross the communication barrier between people. I remember one evening many years ago now where she came and she sang Broadway numbers, love songs for sort of the first half of an evening, talked about life and love, and then very subtly in the second half of her time with us started to sing songs with Christian themes. At the end of the evening, she didn't give an altar call. Instead, she talked to people about placing Jesus in the center of their lives. At the end of the evening, she talked about God changing us from the inside out. That's another way of looking at conversion, right? It's the same thing, but she avoided words that could be misunderstood by those that she was trying to reach and to communicate well with. We need to relearn how to talk in the language of the people God sends us to. That is not just a job for the Wycliffe Bible translators when they go to Papua New Guinea. Bible translation is us talking to our neighbors in a language they can access, understand, and embrace with us as we share the good news of a God who loves them. And it's not really important that those people actually accept what we say right away either. But they need to understand what it is that we have said. Learn what your friends hear, and then speak in a way that your friends can really hear. That's communication. Effective evangelism is made up of that in combination with our connection to Jesus, our intercession with the one we love for the ones we love, and our consecration, our commitment to pay the price necessary to see those loved ones come to an understanding of how great our God is.